Like, there's always another wave. There's always another opportunity. You just have to be ready to learn, fail fast, and move on. Don't cry over spilt milk.
Welcome to our 20th episode. Yes, it's 20th is a round number. It's a very special moment, to be honest. And for that occasion, we have someone who we didn't have before in terms of who she is. And she will tell us much more about it. Definitely, we start with the part that she's digital nomad. So let's dive in and let's see what she's got to say. Joy, good to see you.
Camille, thank you so much for inviting me on the show. I've really been looking forward to this. It's cool how you and I connected digitally before we met each other in real life, which has taken place now. And I think that a lot of that is going to speak towards the industry that I'm in as a digital nomad and also as a serial entrepreneur who's been working in entrepreneurship since 2018. I finished my master's in monetary policy, central banks, and finance. And my undergraduate degree is in building business enterprise, where it was truly a practical degree built out for you to learn the foundations of what it takes to be able to then apply to whichever product or industry you might be interested in then actually learning about, but then also finding a way to build an interesting product, service, or a combination of both, and then most importantly, use the foundations of knowledge that you have to catch waves, which is what we did with our brand Yen. We are the world's first NFT tokenized gin brand to mint on the Ethereum blockchain. We launched in April, and what's very special about our brand is that we're much more than just being a physical product. We're actually a private gin club, which we're building through applying blockchain technology and adding utility to an NFT. And yeah, I'm excited to talk about that
yes.
today.
Joy, maybe we start with this. Why you don't have a regular job? Why you not just regular 9 to 5 and that's it, as most people do?
I guess you could say I got really lucky with my choice of undergraduate degree, which I started in 2018. And what made this course very interesting is that it is one of the few venture creation programs of its kind offered at an undergraduate level, which basically means that you have the first 6 months of starting the degree where you have to actually research about an idea and then you pitch about this idea. And if you receive funding, which as part of the degree's requirement is you actually need to pitch something good enough that's worth funding. And then for the remaining 18 months of the degree, you then run the business, and every term you have different subjects like accounting, corporate law, but then of course actually practical modules, meaning you are applying what you're taking from the classroom into your business, and every week you're reporting to your chairman to show him what you did since last week, and then also making it relevant to what it is you're actually covering in that semester. So since the business that I started, the name was Bluebell Label, that was my first project, which I as a solopreneur got to actually use as the first project. I was able to just apply all the knowledge that I received from the classroom to build. And by doing that, of course, I wasn't putting my energy into something that wasn't supposed to be real. The point about the degree was it was you have the first 2 years where the university is basically the liable one should something happen. And after those 2 years, if you'd like to continue running that business, symbolically, for a symbolic pound, you buy your business and then you can continue it on. And that was exactly what I set out to do. And it was a very fascinating journey, to say the least. The product that I actually had pitched for at the time in 2018 was to develop a non-existing product, which is easier to describe to people now following the pandemic, and you're going to understand why. But this was pre-pandemic, where I pitched to develop the world's first luxury face mask concept, literally a face mask for the face, but made for the market of affluent consumers in Asia. There was a rise in the culture of wearing a face mask for fashion, or just for different personality interests or so, where you want a bit more mystery attached. And it was through things like K-pop that really started to inspire the youth in Asia around kind of like 2018, 19, 2016 even. It was already kind of starting, but there was nothing really there that was a truly luxurious product. And my background prior to having actually decided to pursue developing a luxury product was that I worked years in the luxury leather goods industry. I've always had a personal passion for luxury brands and to really like respect what it means to actually develop a luxury brand, which is exactly what we've done with Yen.
The question next, I think, is inevitable. Like, when you discover that you are a bit different, have you ever been told like this? Do you see like your friends, even from the school a few years back, they were all as ambitious as you?
In my degree, yes, because obviously the degree was about entrepreneurship. So it's like if you joined that degree and you didn't want to be an entrepreneur, it was actually very cool that the school would even advise that. They'd be like, are you sure this is what you want to do? Because to do something so kind of wild and different and, to...
But I don't think they ask you for that.
No. No, I was the only one in my class who actually ran a business as a solopreneur. And it's the best thing that the school could have ever done for me at the time, was because I got to do everything. I had nobody to rely on in that. It was all me. And if I didn't write the assignment wasn't going to be written itself. Everybody else had at least one, or even some people had a group of 3, and they would delegate the work. He does this, she does that. I had to do it all. And I think that, again, that was really why I got to get the most out of the degree, I'd say, just from that sheer fact that I couldn't rely on anyone else. And I think that that really helped me build a lot of like very important skills. But I've always known I was different. I guess it was just about getting to a mature enough age where you're able to celebrate that you are different and appreciate that it's like, I am an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs are different. Yes. They're crazy. They have these stories that, people look at it and they're just like, wow, I mean, for me, I meet people and they're like, okay, where are you from? And
I don't think you even know where you're from.
The first thing I say is, I'm German-American. I grew up in Spain. And then, in between the points throughout the year, I would spend the winters in Jamaica and then summers in Germany, and kind of in between there I've kind of lived around the world. I've interned in New York, spent a lot of time living in Germany as well, which was just really cool too. And then of course the UK, right, which is where I finished my whole academic career.
But what do you call home? There is a place that you call home?
Yeah, so where I reside now is Spain again. I came back to Spain at the start of 2021.
Joy, listen, all your stories, I have an impression that the world maybe is too small for you. What do you think?
I don't think the world's too small. I think there's a lot of the world I still want to see that I haven't seen yet, and not even by a long shot. I'm curious about this world, to say the least.
That metaverse, of course, must excite you, but do you see like ourselves as like the civilization that in like 10 years everybody will wear those VR glasses and that's how we're gonna change in a way?
I can't say where we'll be in 10 years from now from a tech perspective, but if I can look at past examples of where we once were and compare it to where we are now, and I think about phones. Once upon a time, people were walking around with massive, like, radiation-causing bricks. That was...
But used to be cool back then anyway.
Yeah, and that was cool, and that was you being one of the first people to have a phone that wasn't hooked into your wall, And yes. You could be doing a phone call from, essentially, while being mobile, right? And that was amazing. But obviously, when we think about phones now, you have phones that can arguably be, classed as like a paper-thin phone, which is just basically a flat kind of screen that you hold and can use for everything from payments to videos to video gaming to emails. Like, I have 4 phones because I can basically do the majority of my work through
4?
I have 4 phones, yeah. I actually do. And
Why I'm not surprised?
and it's so affordable too, because back in the day, technology, it's always that way. Initially, when technology gets released onto the market, it's expensive and it's not accessible to many.
Yes.
But then as technology scales and more producers come into the market, they can also start competing on price and offering. And before you know it, basically anybody can pretty much have a smartphone now, because we have so much choice, and there are also endless choices from like a price point perspective now. With regards to what I envisage for where the metaverse could go from a communication experience, is more where we are now. I don't think reflects where we'll be in 10 years. But I do think that we will go to the metaverse, or whatever it's called, in 10 years from now. But right now, let's say the metaverse is going to be called the metaverse in 10 years from now, because we maintain that name. I do see there being demand from Gen Z generations and younger, who are like even statistically really communicating that, they want VR commerce experiences, they want AR, they have grown up with nothing but that in their life. And our generation, it's quite interesting because we kind of went through the incremental adoption. Every new model, oh, it's a little bit improved now. Now it's an LG phone that slides, and now it's a BlackBerry. Now it's an iPhone. Wow, it's an iPhone, and that now we have everything. And I think for VR headsets, it's going to be the same, where that evolves. But what's cool about the metaverse now is that I can go to the metaverse and I don't have a VR headset, but I can go to Decentraland through simply just going on Decentraland via browser, connect the MetaMask wallet, which is how you log in to something in the Web3 world, and then I log in and I can go hang out.
So how could you say, for example, because we have 2 bottles here, one is your NFT and one is like a normal product on the shelves. How difficult or how easy is then to transfer the normal concept into the NFT?
So that's a really good question. So what's interesting about our product is actually, in essence, what we see here on the table are 2 competitors in the gin category. The difference between these 2 products, and the difference between why we're not only competing as a physical gin brand, is because the gin market, as well as the alcohol market in general, is so overly saturated. It's not a new type of industry. This industry is arguably as old as time itself, right?
Yes.
So we had to come up with a strategy of how we were able to compete as a brand and to differentiate, which is one of those core marketing, techniques that you learn, is if you can't compete on volume and you can't compete on price, there is an alternative, and that's a niche-focused differentiation strategy. Fortunately, our niche, on the one hand, is luxury, so there are, of course, different levels of whichever type of gin you're competing against, and some will compete on price, and some will compete on, I guess in our case, we compete a lot more on the add-ons, the utility that comes with being a part of Yen. And the thing about Yen is we're actually a hybrid, so we're a Web 2 brand, which means we have a normal e-commerce shop online, and we also have distributors in the real world who distribute our product. But then we also have the NFT. And the NFT collection is interesting because the NFT actually represents your membership in our club. And what you get for buying that NFT is you receive a Yen Gin bottle,
Yes.
and you receive a metal
Something
membership
very heavy,
card.
no?
Yes. And this metal membership card will appreciate over time. And that's how we've built out this gamified experience, is that as we form partnerships in the real world with different venues and stockists who we are already planning on selling yen with, members of our NFT club, which are also, it's not like we're releasing thousands of NFTs surrounding this membership. For our first Genesis collection that we launched in April, as our first tester into the market, try to see if we could figure out something that could interest the community, and we really built it around saying, the community will decide if yen NFTs are here to stay or not. If you mint an NFT, which is what you basically refer to the process of uploading this file, in our case it was an MP4, which represents the NFT, and you mint that onto the blockchain, it will stay there and be ledgered in that system where you can go back and check and know exactly who the owner is, and always verify the origin of authenticity of the product, which in the luxury industry, as well as wines and spirits industry, fraud around products is a very big issue.
Is it a rumor or is it the fact that you meant to have a collaboration with Bored Ape Yacht Club?
So we will be collaborating with one of our members of our Yen Forever Club, who is also a Bored Ape holder, who, as the Bored Ape community would know, if you own a Bored Ape NFT, you are able to do what you would like actually with that intellectual property of that particular ape which you own. So we're not directly collaborating with Bored Ape Yacht Club, but we're collaborating with one of their official members who, through collecting, became a part of this exclusive club. And anybody who is a part of the Bored Ape Club similarly might see similar types of experiences of what you get in the Yen Forever Club, which for us is the same. Over time we'll be doing events, we'll be hosting different spaces in future, we'll have different venues around the world where you can go consume yen products at a special member price anywhere in the world. And because we have the full kind of quality control over who we work with, we're able to really curate out this experience for our community and deliver it exactly as they want it.
Would you say, being in your early 20s, today, it means that you don't know what the limits are?
I wouldn't say I don't know limits, because actually I always tell my friends, I do damage control for a living. I'm all about risk management, risk mitigation, as you should be as an entrepreneur, right? That's all you think about, is just anything that could go wrong and to just be prepared for the worst. But I would say the luxury, of course, of being in my 20s as a young woman who also doesn't have kids yet, is that fail fast lifestyle is exactly the type of lifestyle I'm able to live, and that means that I'm able to acquire knowledge as well as apply that knowledge, and also pivot and make changes in such a lightning speed kind of moment, because I don't have to think about dependence. I don't have to think about this, that, as you do when you have kids. You have to be a bit more responsible in that regard. So I think it's a really important thing to do, is to encourage the youth to be entrepreneurial and to take that chance. And even if you have a little business idea, just try it. Just give it 6 months, just try it out, because it's what do you have to lose? It's only going to get more complicated as you get older, as you have to get more of a job, be more serious, and then it's I could have been an entrepreneur. Or you burn out kind of maybe pursuing a corporate path, and then you hit your 50s and you're having a midlife crisis, and you wish so much you could have innovated an idea, but then you're competing in the landscape with other 20-something-year-olds who are just being 10 times faster, taking bigger risks. So yes, I guess you could say I take much bigger risks now because I have less to lose per se, and I have less people who are affected by any failure that could hit me. But yeah, no, it's very important to know your limits. I think in your 20s, that's exactly by the time you should know your limits. And if you don't, just always tread with caution, I think. Because it never hurts to just take an extra minute to think about something, actually. If anything, I would say more, take a deep breath and think before acting. I think that might be the better bit of advice to give people that slowdown moment. I think it's really important to take a minute of time to think, because sometimes life is happening so quickly. And, even when I was really young, right, this was like a thing that they would always report on my report card. I would get super grades, whatever, she's an amazing student, da-da-da-da. But they would always say, Joy needs to think before she speaks. And when you actually learn the power of what it is to take that moment and to really think about something in general before impulsively acting, you find yourself consistently making better decisions, which then really do show good, consistent, tangible results as a result of that minute that you took to think. So I think that helps me a lot in my adult years. It for sure helps that I take that minute.
Nice. Guys, that was a Joy for you. You see, she can talk for days. If you have any questions, you still don't know something, reach out. She will be there for you. Thank you for now, and see you soon for the next one.
Thank you so much for having me on the show, Camille. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I'm loving being here in Malta, so thank you.